Welcome to your 2's Reviews. We take a look back at Atlanta United 2's 4-0 win over Carolina Core. Coming up in the next little bit, it's going to be all the goals that Atlanta United put in the back of the net. We'll put a bow on it as well with some of the stats that you might have missed if you'd listened to the postgame show live on our Mixler channel at soccerdownhere.mixler.com. Great to see everybody up at Fifth Third Bank Stadium in Kennesaw to watch Atlanta United 2 match a lot of records in team history, and we'll go over those coming up in short order. But let's take you through the action that happened at the Fraction in a no-dilly, no-dally zone as we are. We'll take you to the 24th minute, and the first goal on the board for Atlanta United 2 comes from Luke Brennan with a little help. Jason Longshore on the call here on the SDH Network.
Surveying his options. Outside of the foot pass over to Gallardo on the left flank. Gallardo inside to Russo. Further inside to Armas. 25 yards from goal. Over to the right to Okello. Patience here from Atlanta United 2. Back to Armas. Short cross. Volleyed in. Goal! Goal! Atlanta United 2. Luke Brennan. Great phase of play for Atlanta United 2, and the short cross from Javier Armas picks out Brennan, who had looped around to the left side. Doesn't try to go for power from the top of the six. Placement past Sutton, and Atlanta gets on the board first here in Kennesaw. 1-0 to the 2's. Armas with the assist, Brennan with the goal. First of the year in both categories for each player. And Atlanta United 2 has the goal and the lead.
2 minutes later, all we can say is that it was interesting how the second goal came about. Once again, here's Jason with the call on SDH.
Edwards drives it across to Gallardo, chests it down. Gallardo in the middle third in his own half, forward to Okello, back to Gallardo, into the attacking half now, Russo. Sliding challenge, a good one from Christian Diaz, Atlanta throw. Russo takes it too quickly, didn't get that in. The referee, the AR, they're looking at each other, that shouldn't still be going. Atlanta takes advantage, Luke Brennan, another goal. Goal, Atlanta United 2. The referees got that one wrong, and we'll see if they correct it here. They're going to allow it. Atlanta United 2 gets the goal. Atlanta tried to take the throw quickly. I'll try to make sense of this. Russo throws it in. It bounces on the outside of the field and then goes in. Atlanta keeps playing because there's no whistle, and Atlanta United 2 gets the goal. A second from Brennan. 2-0. The referee kept looking back at the AR on the near side. The ball bounced outside of the field of play. I don't think I've ever seen that.
7 minutes later, so it ends up being 3 goals in a 9-minute span. Javier Armas is surveying what's going on from about 20 yards out, and here's what he ended up seeing, and here's what he ended up doing. Once again, Jason on the SDH Network.
Armas and Gallardo standing over it. Whistle blown. 4-man wall for Carolina. Armas. Goal! Javier Armas.
United 2, goal number 86, Javier.
Free kick golazo from Javi. 3-0 Atlanta United 2. Makes it look so easy. Javier Armas. Armas and Russo might need to work on the steps afterwards. Don't think they were on the same page in that celebration. Doesn't matter. It still goes on the board. 3-0. Armas' second goal of the year. Last week from the penalty spot. This week made it look like a penalty from 20 yards. Bent it around the wall into the back of the net. No chance for Sutton. And Atlanta United 2 off to a flyer here in Kennesaw.
3-0 at the break. Goal number 4 came with about 12 minutes to go. Stephen Herlock checks in, and Jason had mentioned on the air, and you can go back and listen to the broadcast on the network at soccerdownhere.mixler.com, He was very, very high on Stephen Herlock. About a minute and a half after the first mention, this happened involving Herlock and Karim Tmimi. Once again, Jason on the call here on SDH.
Thrown into Armas. Armas out wide to Centeno. Atlanta in their own half. Gajardo, Armas, Centeno. Back to Edwards. Trio becomes a quartet. Now Berner, top of the 6. Plays it up the right side to Gajardo. Takes it down out of the air skillfully. Looking for Herlock down the right side. Finds him. Herlock in behind. Here comes Herlock into the 18. Herlock slides it across. Slotted home. Goal! 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 Karim Tmimi. The assist from Herlock. Barely into the game, and Herlock makes something happen for Atlanta United 2. Second goal of the year for Tmimi. First assist at this level for Herlock, and it's 4-0 Atlanta United 2.
4 goals on the board, a 4-0 final. And here's how things shaped up for Atlanta United 2 on the day. And once again, thanks to Atlanta United 2 for the notes and keeping us smart on the day. Here's what happened in the 4-0 win. First clean sheet since June 1823 against Toronto FC 2. 4 goals tied for the second most in club history in MLS Next Pro play. 9 shots on goal, second most in club history in MLS Next Pro play. 3 assists, tied for second most in club history in MLS Next Pro play. 3 goals in the first half, tied for the second most in a half in club history in MLS Next Pro play. Javier Armas got his second goal of the year. You'll remember last time out against Orlando City B. Got the ball from the spot, got the goal, so it's second on the season. Luke Brennan, first and second on the year. His brace, the 6th in club history in MLS Next Pro play. Karim Tmimi got his first goal on the season for the 2's. Matthew DeJaney made his first start for Atlanta United 2. He was up top with all of the absences and folks coming in late and all of the changes that Steve Cooke and the staff had to do to piece together a starting 11 and a roster on the day. As the first team got in about 3 o'clock this morning, probably hit the pillow about 4 or shortly thereafter. Miles Hadley, Stephen Herlock, Jacob Williams all make their debut for Atlanta United 2 on the day. Daniel Russo, Stephen Herlock got their first assists on the year, and John Berner, who we'll hear coming up in just a little bit, registered his first clean sheet with the club and made 5 saves in front of a crowd of 550. So let's get you into the post game, and we'll start things off with Atlanta United 2 head coach Steve Cooke as he caught up with Madison Cruz and our Jared Smith. Welcome back to Fifth Third Stadium here in Kennesaw. Getting you ready for the post-game show with Atlanta United 2 here on the SDH Network. Thanks for hanging out with us as you always do. Post-game show presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente for all that is you, and it was a successful day for action at the Fraction for Atlanta United 2. Big win on the day, 4-0 over Carolina Core. It was a 3-goal outburst in the first 45 minutes. We'll go over stats coming up in just a little bit. We'll go over the other action going on around MLS Next Pro. There is some afternoon action in both the Eastern and the Western conferences. We'll get into that. We'll also take you down to the locker room, and we will let you hear from some of the principals here for the big win for Atlanta United 2 before they take 3 weeks off in league play. Next time up for them is going to be a home match on the 15th of the following month against Philadelphia Union 2. Once again, that one's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Then 2 days later, Chattanooga FC at 7:30 in the afternoon on the 17th. 3 matches in a week to finish up the homestand in 3 weeks. But it's a good 3 weeks to sit there and digest everything that happened today before they take the 3-week break here in MLS Next Pro. For Atlanta United 2, starting off, it was an opportunity for Alan Carlton in the 8th minute, a big save for Carolina Core. But then the first goal on the board, 3 in a 10-minute span. Luke Brennan and Javier Armas, depending on how you looked at it, it looked like Luke Brennan got a piece of it. Javier Armas given the assist early on. We'll check the official scoring once the day is done. 1-0 at that point. Then 2 minutes later, Luke Brennan given the brace off of the throw that didn't make it into play. Play on. 2-0 Atlanta United 2 at that point. The big save by Sutton kept it from being 3-0 for another 7 minutes before Javier Armas and the free kick from about 20 or so made it 3-0 at the break. Then a goal by Karim Tmimi. Jason warned you about Stephen Herlock. We'll catch up with Jason to find out about Herlock and the assist a couple minutes in, maybe not even a couple minutes. First minute of action, Herlock gets the assist. Tmimi gets the goal, 4-0 in the 79th minute, and Atlanta United 2 would see the matchup out. 4-0 your final. Atlanta United 2 with the win today over Carolina Core here at Fifth Third Bank Stadium. Let's take a look at some of the numbers as we look at what happened over 90 minutes. 17 shots for Core on the day, 13 for Atlanta United 2. 9 shots on target for Atlanta United 2, only 5 for the Foxes. 1 block for Atlanta United 2, 7 for Carolina Core. Total passes north of 300 for Atlanta United, passing at 80 for Atlanta United 2, passing at 81%, 82.5% accuracy for Carolina Core. 4 corners on the day for the 2's, 10 for Core. Crosses 14-5 for Core on the advantage there. The one offside called on Atlanta United 2 in the second half. 5 saves for John Berner on the day and 5 on the flip side as well for Alex Sutton. Clearances 5 each on Atlanta United 2 and for Core. 16 fouls called on each side. So Elvis Osmanovic scoring 32 fouls on the day, but once again an even 16 and 16. 2 yellows on each side, and it was obviously no reds as we finished up at 11-11. 9 shots on target to 5 for Carolina Core, which means it was 3 off target for Atlanta United 2, 5 off target for Carolina Core. And the big blocks on the day, the passing breakdown, we did mention both teams passing in the low 80s as we go. Once again, a part of the action on the afternoon in the Eastern Conference. Right now, it is in PKs, Crown Legacy and Columbus Crew 2. They are tied at 3, bottom of the first, with Crown Legacy scoring from the spot in the top of the first frame. Philadelphia Union 2 with a win over New England Revolution 2 by the score of 2-1 at the break. In the Western Conference, Houston Dynamo 2 over LAFC 2. That one is 2-1. You can catch that one on MLS Season Pass. And just underway at Montclair State University Soccer Park in the Eastern Conference, Red Bulls 2 and Inter Miami 2 at Rock Chalk Park in Lawrence. In the Western Conference, Sporting Kansas City 2 and Ventura County, who was up until this past week known as LAFC 2. That one is goalless as well. Coming up later tonight on MLS Season Pass, 7 o'clock at City Park, it is St. Louis City 2 and North Texas SC. And at Starfire tonight at 10 o'clock on MLS Season Pass, it is Tacoma Defiance and Colorado Rapids 2. That sets us up for a day here at Kennesaw. We'll put a bow on everything here coming up in just a little bit. Jarrett Smith and Maddie Cruz both are downstairs. We'll get the thoughts of Jason Longshore as he has caught his breath from a very, very long and cold weekend. Bunch of different temperatures that he had to face, a lot of miles taken care of on the day, and he's here for Atlanta United 2. Calling the 2's in the 4-0 win over Carolina Core. We'll have more coming up from Fifth Third Bank Stadium coming up in just a little bit. The postgame show, a successful day here on the SDH Network for Atlanta United 2. 4-0 winners over Carolina Core. Stick and stay as the postgame show presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente and KP Georgia. Kaiser Permanente, for all that is you. More from Kennesaw coming up in just a little bit. Welcome back to Kennesaw. Postgame show continues here on the SDH Network. Atlanta United 2 dominant, 4 on the board, beating Carolina Core by the final of 4-0 here in Kennesaw. Jason Longshore now alongside, now that you had the chance to catch your breath a little bit. Point that you made, yeah, it's great that you got 4 on the board. Luke Brennan with a brace. Tmimi puts one in the back of the net, and you end up with Javier Armas once again with a tremendous free kick. But the clean sheet on the day, kept for the full 90 minutes, big for Atlanta United 2.
Yeah, the clean sheet is the most important element of it. This team's got goals in them, and I think you're going to see possibly the highest scoring Atlanta United 2 team that we've ever seen in the years since the team started playing on the field in 2018 in USL Championship. This is a group with a lot of attacking firepower, But the back line is a key thing that we have seen improve under Steve Cooke, and it was something that he talked about when he got here before last season. 2022 and USL Championship, Atlanta United 2, because of the injuries with Atlanta United, you had very young players playing a lot of minutes defensively for that team, and they conceded a ton of goals. It was the team that had conceded, over 80 goals in league play. One of the teams in the U.S. first, second, third divisions over the years that's conceded the most goals. They wanted to improve that. I think last year was much improved in that regard. This kind of a performance is key to take it to the next level, to be more than just a better defensive team, but to be a good defensive team. You have to see these moments out, and when we always talk about 1-0 wins, and that's what shows a good defense, I think a game like this is just as important because for young players especially, it's very easy to let your guard down, to slack off in moments where you have a 3-goal lead and the game is pretty much done. They didn't do that, and I'm going to give a ton of credit again to Efrain Morales because he was with the first team last night in Toronto. He did not get into that match, but he was needed. Noah Cobb played well. Noah Cobb would have played here today, but he played 90 last night in Toronto. Efrain Morales was on the same flight as me, got home very, very late. I don't know how long it took him to get to his house, into bed, being able to get to sleep. He didn't get normal sleep. It's just not possible. There's not enough hours between landing and getting ready to come play in a professional match today. And he went the full 90. Mm-hmm. And I think the moment that's going to stick with me from today is at the end of it, he looked utterly exhausted. And John Berner, first thing, went over to him, handshake, big hug. That was a grown man's performance today from Efrain Morales to be able to marshal this back line and get that clean sheet when he was on fumes at the end.
And you mentioned the younger players, the byproduct of the travel, everybody that made the travel. And once you mentioned Noah Cobb playing 90, but then you have the younger guys coming in the academy plot. You had Dejani with the start up top. You had the guys coming in the second half, locking things down. So you had that next wave of folks coming in as well, giving you quality minutes as well.
Well, you have to give credit to Luke Brennan, obviously 2 goals, but he was on that trip to Toronto. Matthew Edwards was a short-term call-up. He was on that trip. Both were very, very good today. But you're right, with Noah Cobb away, with other guys away, with other changes to the group, there were opportunities for players. And I thought Matthew Dejani made a really good performance out of his opportunity. You see the bench, you saw a lot of debuts today at this level. Herlock gets an assist in his. Romero, a lot of hard work from Pavel Romero. He gets a good bit of time that can help grow for him, and he can get more time down the line. Miles Hadley as well, and at center back, another player who has really earned it. And I was just on the Bird app, and Ricky Davey, the head coach of the Atlanta United U19s, he chimed in when the lineup was announced, talked about a lot of young players getting an opportunity here. To see the guys who have come through, whether it's the 16s that won MLS Next or the 19s that play in UPSL, and get the reward for their hard work today, where this was a week of opportunity for this team especially, where some of the faces who might normally get these minutes were not going to be available. And guys stepped up with a good week of training and performed today in a team performance to get that win.
And you mentioned Herlock. I think that now that you've started something and mentioning Herlock, and then a minute later Herlock is engaged and gets the goal, I think that now for the remainder of the season, you need to mention substitutes and young guys so they can instantly make those kinds of impacts in these matches. You see, your luck is rubbing off on these guys.
Herlock's a monster. Herlock is going to be a fun player to watch at this level. He's committed to Virginia. He was a later arriving player into the Atlanta United Academy. Like I mentioned, he came up through AFC Lightning down on the south side, and Steve Masillo, when he came into the U19s, was raving about him back in December after his first season with the 19s, where that was a really good Atlanta United Academy team in UPSL Georgia last fall that ended up getting upset by Atlanta City that went all the way to the national tournament. Herlock, as he gets more experience, like he needs to improve some things. I think he just needs more experience at this level. He needs more high-level games. That comes with time. But technically, maybe doesn't wow you. The first touch might not wow you, but his ability to find space and then exploit it. It's usually one or the other for a young player. Either they've got the speed or strength and they can exploit spaces, but they might not be able to find them on a regular basis. And then you're kind of stuck to just lumping the ball over the top and let him go chase. Herlock's more than that. And the assist is a prime example because Atlanta United 2, when he came onto the field, he had a really good week of training. He was flying on Thursday in the session that we had a chance to see a good bit of. He was trying to time his run, and Centeno and Armas were both looking for him. And when it didn't come off the first time, they didn't give up on the play, Herlock was able to recycle, get back into spot, lock eyes, get that ball delivered over the top. And then the play from Herlock that's so impressive to me about it is so many times young players in that moment, it's your first big opportunity. You're played in behind. You're going to force a shot. He didn't do that. He had a touch that got away from him a little bit. Sutton also a good job to come out and close it down. And instead of forcing a shot, he was able to slip the pass over to Tmimi to give him the goal. Really good from Herlock in that moment. He's a player to watch. I think he's going to be a fun one this season for Atlanta United 2.
Atlanta United 2 postgame show continues here from Fifth Third Bank Stadium here on the SDH Network, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente in KP, Georgia. Kaiser Permanente, for all that is you. Breaking down the 4-0 win of Atlanta United 2 over Carolina Core, the last match before a 3-week hiatus in MLS Next Pro. Can we talk about Alan Carlton for a second?
Yes.
Alan Carlton, what's it been like to see him add these extra little bits and stages to his game that you're seeing, the bits of sandpaper that are a part of it, the aggression that we're seeing today on the left-hand side? What's it been like to see Alan Carlton's game continue to evolve?
I like that he was more forceful in the attacking half. He wasn't on the ball a ton today, and I think with Alan, he's so good in being a technical player, in his passing, and he only had 9 passes today. He was playing in that 10 role, but popping out wide when he needed to. But he had 3 shots, and he had 2 on target. And that's what I like to see that he's adding to his game, is that confidence in the attacking third, because he has the quality. Or I think right now, and this is becoming more and more common. I know we like to pigeonhole guys into positions. I think it's becoming more and more common for guys not really to fit one position, but be kind of tweeners. Allen's a tweener to me. Like, can he be a 10 like he was lined up today? Yeah. Can he be an 8? Yeah. What does he give you in both? It's the qualities that he brings to the table. He's not a huge physical presence at the moment. And that's something that hopefully will change. I hope he gets a little bit of a growth spurt. That would help him, I think, deal with the physicality of the game at this level. But he showed today that he has a bit of a fearless streak in him. And that's the element that is great to see. We've known he's had the ability. And now when you can start to get the production, and Luke Brennan is a prime example. I think when we first saw Luke Brennan come up to Atlanta United 2, you saw the ability straight away. Last year, you started to see the jump in terms of that confidence that I think you're seeing from Carlton now in taking guys on and trying to make things happen. This year now, Brendan, you get 2 goals today. That was the knock last year. When you look at how good he played, the production in goal contributions wasn't matching his performances, in my opinion. He wasn't getting enough goals and assists for as good as he was playing. Sometimes it happens in a season. Sometimes that's just a little bit of the luck of the draw. Sometimes just how the game goes. But he was very good last year. The numbers didn't necessarily match that.
We're gonna take a break.
Okay. I was going to finish a point.
I thought you were finished. Okay, yeah, finish your point.
Sorry.
Go for it.
For Carlton, the next step now, he's showing the confidence. He's trying to make things happen. The production will come. He had 2 shots today that he's probably going to look back at and say, man, I could put those in the back of the net. And he will down the line. But it's steps. It's a process. And I think you're starting to see Alan Carlton make those next steps to being a bigger and bigger contributor for Atlanta United 2.
We're going to take a break, come back. We're going to continue to give the post-game show another Bits and Piece to breathe. 4-0 Atlanta United 2, the winners over Carolina Corps here from Fifth Third Bank Stadium. The postgame show for the 2's, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente in KP, Georgia. Kaiser Permanente, for all that is you. Stick and stay. More from Kennesaw when we return. Postgame show continues here from Fifth Third Bank Stadium. Atlanta United 2 on the SDH Network. 4-0 winners over Carolina Corps. Carolina Corps had played in the midweek in U.S. Open Cup. Came here to Kennesaw. 3 goals in the first half for the 2's. Another one in the second half with about 11 minutes to go from Karim Tmimi. And the assist going to Stephen Herlock. 4-0 for Atlanta United 2 on the day. We will be hearing from Steve Cooke, from Matty Cruz, and from Jarrett Smith coming up here in short order. Let's take the tour around the league and update you on the scores. The Eastern Conference action that happened earlier in the day and simultaneously with what was going on here in Kennesaw. Crown Legacy got the extra point, knocking off Columbus Crew 2 in PKs, winning that one by the final of 4-3 in PKs. It ended up 3-3 after 90 minutes. And so the extra point goes to Crown Legacy on the day. Other action going on in MLS Next Pro. Philadelphia Union 2, 2-1 winners over New England Revolution 2. Right now in the 62nd minute, about 30 minutes to go. Dynamo 2 leading LAFC 2. And that one is a 2-1 score right now. Once again, Dynamo 2 leading at Titan Stadium on the campus of Cal State Fullerton. Also in the 24th minute at Montclair State, it is Red Bulls 2 leading Inter Miami 2 by the score of 1-0. And early on the 24th minute as well, it is Ventura County, otherwise formerly known as Los Dos. They are leading Sporting Kansas City 2 by the score of 1-0. That one is in the 20s. Let's hear from Steve Cooke downstairs and his thoughts after the 4-0 win over Carolina Corps.
Well, Coach, first of all, congrats on the win. You know, first win here at home. I mean, what was the reaction from all the guys after that final whistle blew? Yeah,
congrats to them. I think they're pleased with the performance as much as anything. You know, to win 4-0 is a testament to their quality, and I think certainly for me personally, the reaction from not winning at home last week, you know, is huge. And to come and put that kind of performance on, 3-0 up at half time, and you know the story of that is sometimes the other team get a goal and then you make it a dogfight, and we not only got the 4th goal, but we could have had 5 or 6 or 7, I thought, and we're pretty unfortunate not to do that. So I think real credit to the players for this, and it feels good, but it's only 3 points. It's only the second game of the year, and we've got to keep climbing. Our goals are not to, just win today. Our goals are much bigger than that, not only in terms of players progressing, but the team progressing and the team doing well and winning games. So I think real credit to them. It was a good performance, and one that I think we can really build from.
Coach, I want to ask about the way y'all managed the second half. I know you talked about being up 3-0. You know you're going to get that barrage from them early in the second half. I want to ask how you thought they really managed and absorbed some of that pressure without becoming too defensive.
That's a good point. We obviously at halftime you make certain tactical adjustments, but I personally felt that the biggest thing was we know what's happening in their locker room. You know, we know what the coaching staff are saying to their players in there, and we've been the same. You know, you're 3-0 down at half time, you're going to rip into them a little bit, and I warned the players that that's what was going to happen. And the first 20 minutes you've got to keep it to nothing. You've got to make sure that you still play, you keep the ball, you take the kind of life out of them instead of breathing life into them. And I think it would have been quite simple early on in the half to go out a little bit arrogant and not really play and not really be ourselves and not have the courage to want the ball, which we did. We were pretty incisive with the possession as well. We didn't really look in too much trouble. I think some of the little mistakes we made just probably comes from centre backs who've travelled yesterday to Toronto, and they're probably shattered by the end of the game. Those few players, and I think they did a really good job. But yeah, at half time at 3-0 up, you kind of almost warning them of what could happen, and we've all seen those games in the past, and I think the way they handled the first 20 minutes in particular then gave them the idea that they could go and win the game comfortably, which they did. And I think, again, credit to every player, and especially I think those players that came into the game really gave us more energy and gave us more speed and gave us more quality. And I think again those 5 players that came in did a really, really great job as well.
I mean, you also mentioned the Toronto. A lot of those players like Edwards, Morales, Brennan all took the trip to Toronto, came back late, and then almost played a full game for you.
Yeah.
I mean, how was that turnaround? What was your message to them going into this match with that fast turnaround?
I didn't really mention it to them other than thanks a lot, really appreciate your professionalism, I really appreciate you doing that. But that is the life of a professional player, you know. One day you're travelling to Toronto and you're on the bench but you don't play, and the next day you're going to have to suit up for the reserves and not only play for the reserves, but we're expecting a real quality performance from you. And I think when you look at Efrain Morales, Matt Edwards playing out of position a little bit at centre-back, and then I think Luke Brennan needs a mention because he scored 2 goals and really, really did well. And I think those 3 show all of us that anything's possible. Tiredness, I think they got in their beds around 4 a.m. You know, we're playing 11 hours later in I don't know, 60-odd degrees of heat, and it's sunny all game. And I just think that is the life of a professional player. They've got to do that, a young player. But more importantly, it tells the rest of us that more is possible. We can do more, we can be more, we can run more. And just because you're mentally tired or you feel like you can't go, I think the message is that you can. And for me, those 3 players epitomise what our team's about and the spirit that the team has. And they were just superb, I thought.
I know you mentioned Luke, and we saw Luke last year have some flashes of just absolutely brilliant play. What is it like today to watch him put together that kind of performance, but as he's having to make that next step as a player, not just have flashes, but to consistently win games and contribute to games?
I think that's a good one. Luke is a very talented player. He's got real talent, but sometimes that talent gets a little bit wasted because a player doesn't apply it the right way or doesn't necessarily have the right attitude all the time. And I think Luke, one thing we've always said to him, and they work on every single day, and Luke's putting the real work in, is that final product, that final cross, that final finish. And today I thought he took his goals really, really well. I think he was unfortunate not to get another one as well. I think the keeper made a great save from him as well. And to be fair, he deserves credit because there's been too many times when he probably hasn't had that finishing touch. And again, as a young player, he's only 18, I think, and to add those goals and maybe some assists into his play, I think that shows real promise for the future, and I hope he can continue that.
Another MVP was Efrain Morales as well in that back line, stepping in there. What was your thoughts on his performance today in that match, and going forward, how is he going to continue to grow and lead in that back line?
Yeah, Efrain played the last couple of games in pre-season with us, and one kind of half a game, and then he played a full game. And I think the last 2 weekends have been the best I've ever seen Efrain play. And sometimes, especially I think in that position, I think Efrain's only 19, going to be 20 later this year, so born in 2004. And a lot is expected of these players when they're so young, especially one, I think it's his 5th year as a pro now. And he's really showing now, I think, the consistency that is needed. And to put now what I would say, I told him after the last pre-season game in Huntsville, that was the best I'd seen him play. I told him last week that was the best I've seen him play. And I think today, given his circumstances of going to Toronto and getting back at 4 a.m, that's probably the best given everything he's played. And I thought when you look in the second half of him, 10 minutes to go, blocking shots and doing the running and winning headers against a pretty athletic, strong group of players, I think, again, it was just a superb performance from Efrain.
We talked about in the preseason game against Chattanooga. We talked at the training ground about how gritty that game was and how much the team fought. How has it been for you in terms of satisfaction watching them not just play pretty, but at times play with some grit and sandpaper and be able to kind of muck the game up and not let it get away from them?
Yeah, look, we want to be a team who do well with the ball. We want to be a team who are exciting going forwards. We want to be that team. But then you have to be that team as well that is gritty and tough and determined and has the energy and the fight that is always there. So we want to talk about them having the courage to be yourself and getting on the ball and playing your way. But then you've also got to have that real steely effort and grit and determination about it. And you've got to put the work in. It's as simple as this. And I think when teams that I've coached have been at their best, they've always had that real commitment to the defensive side of the game, in addition to wanting to get on the ball and play a beautiful style of soccer. And I think the more we get together, the more we work with them, they'll learn about that split personality. And I think today was really good because we played some terrific stuff going forwards, but we were equally solid and determined and ruthless when we didn't have the ball. And I think, again, every single player that is in the group deserves that, because it doesn't start today and we get a nice time today. It starts on Tuesday morning when we get back into training, and we have to do another week where that's the expectancy, and then we do another week after that. So it's a daily thing. It's not just on match days. And I think credit to the group, because they've brought that life and that energy every single day.
And not only that, you got the win here. You also kept the clean sheet. Luke Berner, who has been huge in goal for you guys, his performance and his leadership in that back line, how is he being able to really lead that back line and stop those chances from coming in? Because Carolina Core did pressure them a lot.
Yeah, look, John Berner is a very, very experienced goalkeeper. He's someone I've known actually for a long time. When I was in Colorado Rapids, we drafted him back in 2014, I think. So I've known John for 10 or 11 years now, and he's a really consistent human being. He's one who works hard every single day. He's the first in the morning in the gym, and is the last one to leave. And he's really a great influence on these young players. He's again, aside from being a very, very good goalkeeper, he's just a really good person. And I think if some of those young players want to have a career, they can pick up a lot on him. And I think he organised really well. And make no mistake, I thought Carolina Core were a real threat, and there were times when they could have really hurt us. And I think they forced us into one or two mistakes, and all the time we had John Berner behind. I think there were one or two saves that he made that were 1v1 that was just outstanding, and not just those dramatic saves that make everybody gasp, but it's more about his control of the group and the emotion of the group and organising the group and making sure that the young guys in the back line stay connected. And also, I think in terms of game management, he is the leader of that group, and I think he deserves all the credit today for that clean sheet. And not just him, but every player who played. I think that full team working performance, with him obviously making a couple of great saves, I think that's kind of where the team is going to need to be if we want to move forward.
Steve Cooke on the postgame show, breaking everything down in the 4-0 win for Atlanta United 2 over Carolina Core. Some of the highlights, he thought they could have had 5, 6, or 7 goals today on the board. Then when you're up 3-0 at the half, Steve Cooke made the point. He warned the guys that they were going to be coming out, meaning Carolina Core, with their hair on fire, and he thought that they handled the first 20 minutes well. And especially learning about the life of a footballer, where you get into bed about 4 a.m., then you're having to turn around and have the match kick in about 11 hours later. And when you hit that wall, you think you've hit a wall, you find out today that more is possible out of an individual. So a lot to learn when it comes to the young guys, emphasizing what today is all about. And he also talked very highly of Efrain Morales. We talked about Efra today a lot, and how the last couple of weeks, Steve Cooke has made the point to sit there and tell Efra, this is the best you've ever played, the best you've ever played, the best you've ever played. Reinforced it again today, and a team with a lot of steely effort and grit got a 4-0 win at home on Carolina Core. Also, guys downstairs, Maddie and Jarrett, caught up with Luke Brennan, the man with the brace. Let's hear their conversation with a guy that put 2 in the back of the net.
Well, first of all, 2 goals today in this performance. What were your thoughts on your overall performance in today's match?
I mean, I thought it went pretty well. Obviously, we came off a loss last week, so I was pretty excited to bounce back today.
How's it feel for you, especially coming off that? Not just the 2 goals, but I mean, just physically, for a couple of y'all having to travel so much in the last 24 hours, and then to get up here today and then play what was a really aggressive and back and forth game for a lot of it. Like, not the scoreline wise, but like running.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we all kind of like use those excuses. Like, we could have been like, oh yeah, we traveled last night, we got home late, but I think we put that to the side and we're like excited to face adversity and overcome it. And I think we played pretty well, but yeah, it was back and forth for a while, so yeah, it was pretty tough. cramped in like the 70th. Yeah.
Now, coming into this week, Carolina Core obviously being this big independent team, it was a bit of a different way to look at that squad. How did you guys come into this game looking at them and analyzing their gameplay and figuring out how to combat that on the field?
Yeah, I think they played a certain way, like pretty direct. So, yeah, I learned that like probably 30 minutes before the game. And, yeah, I try not to like make it concern how I play. So, I just want to play how I play every game. Yeah.
How was it for y'all, especially in the front line? I know the coach talks about defending on all levels, but you guys were really aggressive on the front line, trying to get stuff turned over and get going quickly. How much is it for y'all, like when you get that turnover, to kind of get that boost of energy for all of y'all into getting into scoring positions?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we used it pretty well today. It was like a pretty intense game, but yeah, I feel like the squad just wanted it more today.
And completely and totally gassed, Luke Brennan hanging out on the postgame show with Maddie and Jarrett. Not a surprise, and it did look like that with 20 minutes to go, he was cramping up, and that was what was wrong. It's just the end of a long weekend. Cramp up with 20 to go, gets the brace, and 2 on the board for Luke Brennan, scoring in the 24th and the 26th minute. The assist from Javier Armas on the first one, and then off of the throw down the left-hand side, then it finishes up with a goal to get the 2 on the board in 2 minutes for Atlanta United 2 to get them on their way in the 4-0 win against Carolina Core. Now, 2 interviews down, 1 to go. Let's catch up with the guy between the sticks. The experience there with John Berner, part of the clean sheet for Atlanta United 2. Here's Maddie and Jarrett with John.
So, John, it's the first clean sheet since the middle of 2023. I think it's like 13 games for the club. I mean, how are you feeling getting into the rhythm with this club and then to turn on that clean sheet?
Yeah, obviously clean sheet feels great, man. That's like the best as a goalie. Clean sheet, coming in the locker room, feel great. Preseason a little bit choppy. I had a suture on my hand or my thumb, so kind of dealt with that for a little bit. But I feel like I'm finding it again, getting your energy back, and kicking off the season as well. So feeling good.
And then being a leader as the goalkeeper in that back line, I mean, how do you talk to your other back forward to try and get them forward and help you out throughout the game?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of being a goalkeeper as you get a little bit older. You see things probably before they happen, and trying to help young center backs anticipate plays and be in the right position to make plays. And that's just something, like I said, as you get older as a goalkeeper, you probably take a little bit more pride in and try and help your team with that.
Number of saves you made today, I mean, it was a lot of saves, but a lot of them looked like you were pretty comfortable on, aside from the crazy 1v1 one. How much of that was just you're comfortable, you're getting in the right position ahead of time, and you're doing your work before the ball's even shot?
Yeah, I think that's part of it is just, you kind of hit the nail on the head there, just finding your position early. I felt like I was able to find my spots early, and like I said, as a goalkeeper, you just try and put yourself in the best position to make the save, and I felt like I was able to do that today.
What was your mindset when you were in that 1v1 moment for you, when that happened?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just patience, right? Is you understand, okay, there's a 1v1 moment. It happens quickly, but can I stay patient in the moment and just come up big for the team? Like I said, trying to be patient in the moment and knowing that a save's coming.
I guess with talking with those young center backs, guys like Afra and Matt Edwards in front of you, how do you find that balance of like communicating a lot with them versus like almost over communicating and making sure that everybody's on the same page? Yeah,
I think you'll hear me a lot in games. Like I said, I think that's a big part of my game, and trying to encourage the young center backs to also feed the information forward, and the 2 center backs staying on the 6 and the 8, and can we prevent plays from happening before they even happen, right? Staying switched on for the whole 90 minutes. Like I said, I'm sure they get tired of hearing me, but that's my job, and like I said, if I don't have to make any saves throughout the games by simply organizing, then perfect, job done for me. So I think they're young center backs, and they'll probably get tired of hearing me, but hopefully they can add that into their game as well.
One thing that Coach Cooke and other players have mentioned is how connected and how the chemistry this season has been worlds beyond than what it has been before. How has it been to really connect with some of those younger players, some of those newer players that are coming in from college? How has it been to kind of connect with them?
Yeah, I feel like we got a good blend of academy kids, college kids, first-team guys coming down. I think that they, from day one of preseason, they mentioned that, there's going to be a lot of movement, but everyone's done a good job of just understanding that and running with it, right? Like, we've got a lot of things we can't control, but I think when guys come down or guys come up and sign guys, the college guys, everyone's just bought in. And I think the staff has done a very good job with that.
And as an added bonus here on the postgame show, Maddie went over and caught up with Roy Lassiter, the head coach of Carolina Core, and got his thoughts on the day as Christian Diaz and Joshua Rodriguez made their MLS Next Pro debuts. Pachuto Polanco earned his first start for Carolina Core, and Jesus Oruela earned his first MLS Next Pro start as well. So here's the conversation that Maddie had with Carolina Core head coach Roy Lassiter.
All right, so Coach, let's talk about the first half of this match. What was missing from your side going into that first half?
Well, first and foremost, I thought we started off the game well, paired the same with Atlanta. And we got to remember, Atlanta is a team with a tremendous amount of depth, way more depth than what we have to bring to the table. No excuse. We still was in the game. Unfortunate things happened in the game, and within 12 to 15 minutes, Atlanta was up 3-0. So it's hard to battle with that and spot it. And I'm not saying we spot Atlanta either. They worked for those. They got it. They earned it. We had to stay in the game, and to come back from that deficit was going to be a high hill to climb, right? So we tried to stay in the game. One of our players got injured in that. We had to make an early sub, so that kind of went against us as well. And so that's kind of what happened in the first half. But still, I thought we were still in the game. At the end of the day, that score was not indicative of everything. But, it is what it is. There's a lot of things for us to learn from it, a lot of good things and a lot of bad things.
And one of the good things is, coming into the second half, you guys rallied very hard. It was you guys were battling in, you were getting into Atlanta's half, you were making chances. So what was your overall thoughts on that second half performance based off that first, coming in and going in and fighting back more?
Very good observation, because that's exactly what happened. I mean, I had to be very positive at halftime. There were things that I wanted to say that I probably could not say and wanted to stay positive with it, and I did, and I trusted him. I didn't even make a sub. So I only beside the sub that we needed to make because of one of our injured players. I wanted to make them work it out. And sometimes in the professional game, you got to try to work it out and show trust in your players. Yeah. And so that's what I tried to do. We wanted to get that goal early, though. That's one of the messages. Go for it. We had to go for it. We had to take risks. So we tried to do it. It wasn't coming. And in our effort to try and risk it all, we got another goal scored on us because of that. And that's unfortunately, but that's what this league is. It's a good quality league for young players that even at this level, if you don't take care of yourself defensively, they can still punish you. So, my hats go off to Atlanta because they came and things fell for them. Unfortunately for them, it didn't happen last week for them against Orlando, but it did for this week. And so those type of things, and one of my messages at halftime, hey, if a team could come in and score 3 goals on you, you could come in and score 3 goals on them in a half as well. So that was my message at halftime for them. And you're right, it did change for the better in the second half. So I wish that scoreline would have read 1-0. It would have seemed more like a fight, which we did anyway, but it is what it is. Got to learn from it.
Absolutely. I mean, even with the 3-0 going into halftime, it still felt like a battle going into the second half. It was a good rally from your side in that second half. But moving forward, you guys will face off against New England Revolution 2. I mean, going in and leading into that, as well as preparing for Open Cup, what were some of the lessons and some of the things you learned from this match that you're going to go and take into the next couple of games?
Yeah, first of all, the boys don't have to have their head down for too long. I took the loss. I took the loss as a leader, as a coach for this team. I took the loss, and the good thing is the turnaround is quick. So, and we're just starting this season, so we can't sulk for too long. We can't keep our heads down for too long. We have to really pick our heads up, and that's my message to them. Pick our heads up, because they are a good team. If things just didn't fall their way on this occasion, and if we turn things around and just be a little bit positive, although I know it's going to take more than just a bus ride home to bring positives out of it, but we have to get over it quick. And if I could take things away from this game, we did come out in the second half and we tried to turn it around, and our football was good, and it just didn't fall for us. And sometimes in professional soccer, that those things happen.
Once again, thanks to Steve Cooke, thanks to Luke Brennan, thanks to John Berner for being with us here on the postgame show, getting the thoughts of Atlanta United 2 in the 4-0 win over Carolina Core this afternoon here at Fifth Third Bank Stadium in Kennesaw. Reminder, our next broadcast of Atlanta United 2 soccer, initially it was supposed to be against Crown Legacy on Thursday. That game has been slid further down the schedule. So our next broadcast for Atlanta United 2 will be the first of 3 in a 6-game stretch coming up in the month of April. April 15th against Philadelphia Union 2. 3 o'clock in the afternoon is kick time shortly after that. So 2:30 on the pregame show, and it'll be 3 matches in a 6-day period as the first 5 matches for Atlanta United 2 will be here in Kennesaw. So you will get a whole lot of front-loaded action at the Fraction here in MLS Next Pro in 2024. Big day for Atlanta United 2 here in Kennesaw. Big win for the second match of the season. Thanks to Jason. Thanks to Jarrett. Thanks to Maddie. Thanks to you. Thanks to the 2's here on the SDH Network. Postgame show presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente, for all that is you. Thanks for hanging out with us here once again on the SDH Network. Mucha plata, y'all. Play it safe. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon.